take a look at Matt Taibbi getting savaged.
Oh, yeah. You know, I talk a lot of shit on Max Blumenthal, but when you're right, you're right. And Gavin assures to me that he does an absolute smackdown on Matt Taibbi, which is interesting to me because I considered Max Blumenthal and Matt Taibbi to be kind of in a similar pond. I considered them to be kindred spirits in a sense.
Oh, they were. That's what's so crazy about Matt Taibbi's whole, like, recent trajectory, his arc, and why it's so suspicious. Because, like, a lot of the people that when we started this show that Matt Taibbi was kind of associated with, or, like, as you said, swimming in the same waters as, people like Max Blumenthal, people like, Jimmy Dore, people like Katie Halper, who we did a fucking show with called Useful Idiots for several years, right? All those people, whatever you want to say about them or whatever you think about them, they are pretty hardcore anti-Israel.
100%.
They're very critical of Israel. I mean, Katie Halper has literally made that her whole fucking beat. Like, if you look at Katie Halper's channel, she basically doesn't make videos about anything else. She constantly is talking with, historians and professors and intellectuals and people that are really educated about what's going on in that region, right? And she knows a lot about it. She's very pro-Palestine. Again, same with pretty much everyone that Matt Taibbi used to associate with, like, not even that long ago. Like, I'm talking 3 or 4 years ago. So not only has he totally embarrassed himself by defending Trump, by becoming Elon Musk's little bitch, he's also totally lost the respect of even some of those people like Max Blumenthal and Briahna Joy Gray, who's also obviously very anti-Israel, very critical and honest about the genocide. She actually lost her show on the Hills Rising for her anti-Israel commentary. So again, we have issues with pretty much all the people involved in the story. Obviously, you guys, if you've been watching the show for a while, you probably remember our beef with Brie and with Max. But I happen to agree with their commentary in this instance 100%. And again, I thought it was really refreshing to hear Max Blumenthal spit some facts again, this time about his old friend Matt Taibbi in such uncompromising language.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I've never seen someone spend so much time and energy explaining why he shouldn't spend an ounce of time or energy on Israel and Gaza, and specifically on one of the most powerful and most censorious forces in the United States today and across the West, which is the Zionist movement. And he seems to be, for various reasons, afraid to critique power. He had this sense that power was being exerted through the liberal establishment during the Trump era to spin out a series of deceptions, intelligence intrigues like Russiagate, and produce some really good reporting there. The Twitter files supported that. Twitter files were obviously courtesy of Elon. Elon is someone who is a massive political and economic empire, which is interwoven with Zionist power. In fact, Elon launched an Israeli spy satellite through his SpaceX recently from Florida. No one talked about that. Elon's basically been captured. He's supposed to be the richest man in the world, but he's been captured by an even more powerful force, which has captured the entire Trump administration.
Like, how? Like, why is this happening, Max?
So pretty interesting comments from Max Blumenthal. I think they kind of get lost in the weeds in the next part of the conversation. So let's take a look here at what Max says about, how this specifically relates to Matt Taibbi's ardent defense of free speech and the First Amendment, making it all so much more humiliating.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is that it really all does go back to the Twitter files and the Elon Musk thing. I think that's really the beginning of the end. I think Max Blumenthal hits the nail on the head there. I remember we covered it intensely at the time, and we were like, what the fuck are you doing? You're doing PR for Elon Musk, the richest man in the world. And it was one of those giant red flags for Matt Taibbi, because we played the segment of him, where he quotes, what is it? Eye of Stone or Cy Hirsch or whomever?
I think Cy Hirsch.
Yeah, Cy Hirsch. And he's like, if you ever are in a position where people are handing you, somebody powerful is handing you a story, with a bow on it, you need to ask yourself some tough questions about why the hell they decided to give you that story. Well, he got the Twitter files, so that he could do PR and talk about how bad Twitter was before Elon bought it. And so that Elon could mislead everyone. And then you have all the tweets that, or the, you know, the text that came out where it's like, Elon, I've repeatedly neglected to criticize you so that you would keep giving me more of these stories. And Matt Taibbi was revealed to be totally compromised on that issue.
100%. Yeah, no, that's exactly correct. And yeah, it was ridiculous. He called Elon Musk a whistleblower, even though what he was actually doing was just PR for the world's richest man and the new CEO of a company. It'd be like if McDonald's had a new CEO and they leaked us all their dirt on the previous one and asked us to publish it to make them look good and to be like, see, look, McDonald's is heading in a new direction, guys. It's okay to eat there again as a left-wing person. It's okay to eat there again, even if you're against Israel. It's totally fine now. Like, imagine us doing that. That's literally what fucking, you know, Matt Taibbi did, but with the new CEO of Twitter, who happened to be the world's richest man, who also happened to be on a campaign to fucking remove any remnants of free speech from the platform. Something that Matt Taibbi happily was complicit in as he whitewashed and sanitized the actual aims of Elon Musk, which was totally fucking disgusting. And that's when the last ounce of my respect personally for Taibbi evaporated entirely. And I said, fuck this dude, which was hard for us to do because we at one point really respected Matt Taibbi.
I adored Matt's writing. I have every single one of his books.
You guys know how much we love Hunter S. Thompson. And for years, people said Matt Taibbi is like the reincarnation of Hunter S. Thompson. You know what I'm saying?
He wrote the intro to Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail 72 for the 30th anniversary.
Yep. And he used to work at the Rolling Stone. So, you know, either way, that was a real shame. But here's one more piece from Max Blumenthal criticizing Taibbi.
And he can have his reasons. You can be a conservative, but it's about the principle. And if you're gonna wrap yourself in the cloth of the First Amendment and not talk about this, the most immediate, existential, titanic threat to the First Amendment, because you're afraid of the Zionist movement and you're afraid to critique Zionist power, then you're just irrelevant. You're not just being hypocritical. You're just going to lose relevance. So the people that are pushing Matt on this are actually paying him a certain level of respect. That's how
I feel, to be honest. That's how I feel. I feel like if I didn't, I mean, there are a lot of people who don't talk about Gaza, right? Like, there are a lot of Zionists, there are a lot of everybody. I'm not like inveighing against Bari Weiss for not talking about, you know, for not being pro-Palestinian, because she is who she is. I
am. Well, I mean, I hate who she is. But I know what you're saying. And I know what you're saying. And it's what his critics are saying is you're a talented writer. You haven't been afraid of power or to offend people in the past. Yes. And you have a certain cachet more than most writers, and you should use it.
Yes.
And you're not. So they're actually showing him respect. I mean, if they thought he was a complete clown, they wouldn't be lobbying for this.
Yes.
And he's treating them with complete condescension, spending a lot of time to show them disrespect. And it's because he must be afraid of something here. But at this point, if you're going to spend that much energy defending your silence, you're going to lose relevance, and people will find other writers and other voices.
And I think that's true. I mean, the last time we published a video about Matt Taibbi, no one fucking clicked it. No one gives a shit about him. He's completely irrelevant.
Yep. 100%, right? I mean, he used to be a dominant figure. We don't even cover him on the show anymore because whenever we do, nobody cares. They're like, oh, that guy, he's a washed boomer. But I have to tell you guys, if you're coming at this blind and you only learned about Matt Taibbi, like, let's just say within the last 5 years, you never really had any reason to fuck with the guy heavy. You know, you're like, oh, he's kind of an out-of-touch boomer. Like, maybe he, you know, turns a phrase pretty nicely every once in a while on his Substack, but what's the big deal? Go back and read some of his early work. Like, if you read Bush Like Me, I think about that piece all the time. I think about how influential it was when I first read it in college, and I was like, holy shit, this is really, really, really high-level stuff. I think about the Great American Bubble Machine and how that taught me so much about the financial crash. I remember, you know, spanking, what was it? Spanking the donkey. Yeah, you know, here it smells like dead elephants. That was another great one. He did Griftopia, which is the book I mentioned. He did The Great Derangement, which I read when I was a pizza delivery driver. Okay, I love that man's work. It spoke to me. here was a guy that I thought was kind of like me. I felt like maybe I was a more left-wing Matt Taibbi. He was a lefty guy, but he also had some like, I don't know, kind of like politically neutral takes as
Kind of
well.
like Hunter S. Thompson. That's hence the comparisons. Yeah.
Exactly, 100%. And I just remember I found so much in his work as a dude who didn't feel like, there were a lot of guys like me that got into politics, right? Gavin, I know you can relate to this too. There weren't a lot of guys like us that were just ravenously obsessed with this, that were working on their high school papers, that were sending DMs late at night about what's happening with Bernie Sanders to each other in their senior year of high school, smoking joints and looking at whatever the fuck was popping off on the news, right? That was who we were. Matt Taibbi felt like he was cut from that same cloth. He felt like he was cut from the same cloth of Hunter S. Thompson, and the sellout end of his career is just so hard to stomach because Hunter Thompson was a guy who never sold the fuck out.
Yeah, that's for sure. Either way, I thought that was, pretty interesting. Have a lot of disagreements with Max Blumenthal, but I appreciate him just being honest about that. And I imagine that among the kind of people left that, are fans of both Blumenthal and Taibbi, they probably listen to Blumenthal and it'll resonate with them. And they'll see like, yeah, that is low-key 100% accurate, even if they hadn't come to that conclusion themselves already.
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there. Be there. The Vanguard will be there.